just before this meeting started, sent me one from Noxon, and I reviewed it a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And I'd like to
Oh,
look at it a
awesome.
little bit more, to make sure that, but I still kind of like this one better. I think we need to review it, a little, I'll send it to you so you guys can take a look at it. But basically, the template, the Montana Code does not require any particular template for these plans. And I reviewed the FEMA guidelines for what they're supposed to comprise of, and any of these examples basically meet what's required by law. So the meat of what goes into one of these plans is basically a hazard analysis, which is basically identifying all of the hazards or incidents that can befall us and the associated prevention and response activities, plus a very clear chain of command and delineated roles and responsibilities for the people who have to respond to these things. So the first thing that we probably need to do, and this is an example of an incident command structure for the roles and responsibilities for a school. ICS is something that I'm familiar with because the oil industry uses it, but it's also all federal agencies. The Forest Service uses it. It's designed to contract and expand with the severity of the incident that you're dealing with. But in general, it's probably a pretty good idea to identify and assign this team. The incident commander will always be the superintendent, and they can decide how many of these team members they need. But I would recommend that we always have somebody who understands that they're the public information officer and the liaison officer. The public information officer will be responsible for deciding what, when, and how we communicate to parents in the community, and the liaison officer will be the person responsible for liaising with, law enforcement, emergency management personnel, medical services, whatever. And probably have some drills. You can take ICS training online, they have it everywhere. You should have the people who are assigned to this team kind of understand what their roles are and, practice a little. I dealt with many environmental disasters, looking for the oil industry, oil spills and explosions and things like that, and we drilled those a lot so that the people who were assigned these roles understood what they were. But at a minimum, I think the people that we decide to give these roles to should have some training, some ICS training. My suggestion would be that we just slog right in to identifying the kinds of hazards and incidents we might have.
Have you seen our orange flip chart?
I have it at the door.
I was gonna say, mine's on my door.
We have the different types of hazards outlined,
Okay, excellent.
and that same words and information that is in that orange flip chart is also on our E3 apps on our phones.
Okay.
So everything in there is also acceptable on E3, which is an app that we started using last year that the teachers have on their desktops and on their phones. It's got some kinks though, so we're looking into how to get that to function a little bit better.
Okay,
We
this is
do
a
have
good,
some training, like intruder training, earthquake training, all those kinds of
all
things
those kinds of things.
that pop up.
There is a map in there somewhere too, so
Okay.
you know which room you're in, where you're going. And
Okay.
it could be in this pile here.
So that is in all the classrooms, it's supposed to be in all the classrooms.
That's good, because I was wondering, like this, in the beginning of this plan, they have some diagrams.
Yeah,
of
that's what I saw.
all the,
So I was thinking.
I was thinking it'd be nice if we could add that kind of stuff to our report that said exactly where everything was located.
And this has been around for quite a while, so it just might need updated, but.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can tell just by looking at it, it's not as comprehensive as we want, because it
Yeah, that's
doesn't have,
A quick reference guide,
Right.
That's a grab when you need it, go.
right.
walk out the door with it when you have your classes with you.
And so I thought we'd just kind of start brainstorming what hazards we have. I started some that I could just think of off the top of my head. There's basically, like I said, 3 categories: natural disasters, environmental disasters, and human threats. And the natural disasters that I thought of were wildfire, flood, extreme weather events, and earthquake. Is there anything else that you can think of?
Yellowstone.
Say this again.
Wildfire, floods, extreme weather events, and earthquake. there anything else that you can think of that?
Under natural,
Other natural disasters? Okay, well, I started with wildfire, just to give you an example, because I thought, I'll just take notes as we brainstorm of what, you can't really prevent a wildfire, but you can take some actions to prevent how it affects us. The facility, which is basically monitoring and liaison with the wildfire agencies.
Areas safe for
Yeah.
possible fires.
And then our response would be twofold, depending on how close and what's going on. One is evacuation and communication with the parents and the community. And the other would be shelter in place preparedness. We need to be prepared to not only shelter our kiddos, but maybe others. Since this is probably one of the biggest facilities in the town that could shelter people who had to be evacuated because of a wildfire. So in this response, we need to have somebody who, the liaison with the wildfire control agencies is gonna have to be this liaison officer. That somebody has to be appointed that job in a wildfire. The liaison officer will be responsible for monitoring how close the fire is getting and talking to us about what we're gonna do. And then we would stand up, our incident command structure and decide, are we, sending our kiddos home? Are we keeping them? And do we have to also accommodate other people? And, set up cots and things for other people to shelter in the school because they don't have anywhere to go. That's a possibility. In the Paradise Fire, they put people up in the church, not here, right? You didn't have
we have
shelter
Forest
in
Service
place
here.
people. Forest Service put them up, but it's a possibility
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
could have to do that. So we need to think, a little bit about that. But can you think of anything else that we would have to do in response to
For a
a
wildfire.
wildfire?
Medical, if it gets too bad, smoke
Smoke.
wise.
That's a good one.
We have,
we've had to do that
we
in the
have
past.
an air quality sensor on the building now.
Medical response. So this would be a liaison job too. We need to have somebody who's a point person to get medical help. We don't have a nurse right now, is that right? Well, I think that's probably about all we can do for a wildfire.
Yeah.
So flood, we obviously can't prevent a flood, but we can prevent how we react to it. So we'll be monitoring again. We'll have the liaison person will have to be responsible for monitoring with, how high is the roof getting and what's gonna happen to us. And again, the response would be the same. We're either gonna evacuate our kiddos and send them home, or we're gonna keep them here, and we also may have other people staying with us depending on what's going on.
Well, if a dam failed above us, we might have to bus them up,
Right,
cause it could happen.
right. So still, it's that,
Yeah.
we're gonna either
Yep.
get out of here or we're gonna stay.
Yeah.
And we have to be prepared for both of those eventualities. So those are the only ones that I kind of just started on. So in extreme weather events, I broke it into extreme cold, high snowfall, and high winds, because I think they're a little bit different how you deal with each one of them. This extreme cold prevention, again, is just monitoring, what's going on.
Yeah, we can control that part.
I don't wanna do our electric buses would be extremely cold.
Yeah,
These, generators on them, don't they?
I don't know.
Batteries don't
I
work.
think
as
they
well.
have some sort of
supposed to, yeah.
backup,
the transportation, that's a good one. We need to think about transportation.
Well, extreme cold and extreme heat, which we don't get much of here, but
Yeah,
Not during school at least.
Is there anything else you can think of other than, monitoring what the temperatures are gonna be with the weather? But a response, we're gonna have transportation issues. We're gonna have,
Building heat, we
Build-
have classrooms with no heat.
building heat. We're gonna have, we may have the same shelter in place situation. If there's a power outage everywhere, which is one of the things they had in here, what are we gonna do, you know, with townspeople who need someplace to be to not freeze to death, so
So
shelter in
just,
place.
just because, when we allow, if it came down to it and we allowed community members into our school,
Mhm.
and try and visualize this, you would have to set up boundaries and separation, because
Mhm.
you would say, you're from the town, you stay over there. And
Right.
if you're a student, you stay over here.
Right.
What about the parents of students?
I think they probably have to be separated, because you can't monitor who's a parent and who's not. You'd have to have people who are assigned to be supervisors.
So
of
parents
the-
are not gonna let your kids stay over here if you're over here. I wouldn't, I would be like, no, I want my daughter with me.
Then they become the parents'
Well,
responsibility.
then give them the parents, they
So
give
then
the
they're
kid to
going,
the
they go with
parents
the
and
parent.
say they're yours.
So
Yeah.
we should specify that,
Yeah,
Yep.
that's,
just because we make sure everybody in the world's fingerprinted that has anything to do with kids, and if we're letting a lot of people in here, we won't have a way of knowing.
Well, I think you designate that area like the
You'd
gym.
lock
I
that
was
door.
gonna
The
say the gym,
gym
and they have
and-
access
yeah.
to the locker rooms, so they have
Families.
bathrooms and showers and.
Yeah,
community in
Families
the
on
big
that
gym,
side.
students in the little gym.
Yeah.
or
you know.
in the rest of the school,
Right.
Yeah,
yeah,
well, and you could close the fire doors.
that's what I mean, you could
Yeah.
lock that fire door and then you would be
Then they
limiting
have to go
access
outside
to
to
kids.
be able to.
And the other gym is totally separate anyways.
Mhm.
Maybe that would be better, yeah. I'm just thinking because,
No, it's a
Yeah,
good, that's a very
right.
good point. We need to
just put that in our
articulate
plan
that.
somewhere.
We need to
Yeah.
put in there that when
If that
we
were the
offer
case.
our facility
Yeah.
to shelter others, there has to be some understanding that there will be separation between our students and the community members.
Yeah.
Because we have to.
Oh, there has to be,
Yes.
we have too many convicted sex offenders in our community to,
Yeah,
I'm serious,
yeah,
to not worry about that.
so students first, student
Students
safety
Yes,
first, and then we'll
Absolutely.
try and do our best to help the
And that should
community
be
if
for
we can.
all of it.
Everything,
yeah.
Yeah.
everything. That's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Can you think of anything else?
Or is it too cold?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Great Falls cold?
Right, yeah.
Well, we've had it 27 below here and the kids didn't go outside, they
We
weren't
just
allowed to
didn't
go
let them outside
outside, they had to
anyway,
stay
yeah.
inside.
But I'm assuming that she's saying this is, that, yeah, we're not going
Yeah.
to school because it's too
Extreme
cold.
weather.
Yeah.
Right,
Just depends on what's going on and when it happens.
And if the power's on or not.
I've
Yeah.
been in Bozeman where it was 30 some odd degrees below zero and cars don't start. And
Yeah.
yeah. And then if we have extreme cold, you know, we have this transportation issue, we mean our, you know,
Well, diesel gels,
yeah,
And
our
the
vehicles may not
electric
go.
batteries would,
Do we have a generator here that will, if we have a power outage, that will keep
Not
this
to power
place?
anything significant, no.
That's a problem.
It's always been a problem, but that's.
we've had power outages
How
this
do
year.
we heat if power goes out?
That isn't an option.
safest place would be for kids to go home.
It's where,
Yeah.
there's a power outage everywhere.
But
But
still,
they may
they're
have-
They might have wood heat at
You
home
might
though,
have
where we
those,
don't.
yeah.
We,
Yeah.
we,
Had power outages and sent kids home
Yes.
or just canceled school.
Well, we have sent kids home when the power's been out.
Yeah.
All right. Can you think of anything else for extreme cold?
It's gonna take me a while to ponder these things before.
I will,
So if we-
I'll
brainstorm
send
and
you,
come back.
today we'll just do a brain dump of everything we can think of, and I will send you the notes, and it'll give you a little time to read through, and I'll send you the one from Knoxon too, and then we can kinda think about it a little, 'cause we'll think of things, more things as we
Yes,
do
sleep
this.
at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, high snowfall, same thing, it's gonna be monitoring.
Depends on if the buses can run.
Mhm.
We've gone without buses before
Right.
and had kids in town go to school, but it was, I mean, not everybody can get to school anyway, not even all teachers could.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have transportation issues again.
send them
Road
home
kind of
before it gets too
has
bad.
similar things. I mean, there's been times we've had, the roads were so slick that they didn't hold everybody at school, but if you got here, you stayed. And if you didn't, we didn't worry about it, we just held what we could.
Right, right.
And then later in the day, maybe everybody came. Because it was too slick with buses.
We have had that.
Also been like, if it just continues to snow really hard during the day, it's
Right. You know, I think high winds is a little bit different because you may not be able to send, if you have really bad winds, you don't want people leaving the building.
You don't put them outside.
You know,
Look at
they
Thompson
have-
Falls,
they
they
have
had
to
kids
stay
dodging pieces of roofing this year already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So prevention, we're just gonna have monitoring again,
Yeah.
but we're gonna have, the same kind of stuff in the response, which is high winds, we don't send people home.
You shelter.
No.
You just have shelter, you don't evacuate, you just have shelter in place.
You might wanna
But if
decide
a
if
parent
there's
comes to
windows
pick
you
up
don't
their
want
kid, you
people
have
in.
to let them go.
Right.
Yeah.
So
But we don't
shelter
send
in
them home to
place
walk home.
No,
with the
parents would have
caveat
to come pick them up,
that parents can remove
and that's gonna have to be for
their
all of them, because
children.
we can't keep the kids here, even against, you know, we advise not to, they still,
They have that right.
Parents.
So we
have
will advise, but allow.
Cause we have to.
We have to, yeah.
Okay. All right. Earthquake. Again,
Find a George.
that's not something we
You
can
can't
monitor.
monitor.
That's
Yeah.
just gonna happen, so there really isn't any prevention activity.
That's
for that
mostly
whatsoever.
post-earthquake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this one,
After
you know,
shocks.
do you guys have earthquake drills where you tell the kids to get under the tables and stuff? So the response is gonna be drilling and, keeping everyone inside until.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's part of our first days of school, generally speaking, every teacher goes through what happens in all kinds of scenarios, what the plan is.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's all outlined in there.
Yeah.
All
Cause
the
every
different types of
classroom
drills.
Okay.
has the plan.
Okay.
Might be a little outdated, but it's all very relevant stuff.
Earthquakes haven't changed.
Yeah.
They've become bigger and better.
Yeah.
So, in all of our natural disasters, we basically have the same kind of thing. We're gonna monitor, we're gonna decide either to have everybody leave or we're gonna keep them. With the caveat that we gotta let parents take them if they want. And if we do allow this facility to be used to shelter others, we have to separate them and make sure that there's protection of the students. So that's kind of basically, we have the same kind of thing. There's a few differences in the natural disasters. Some of them, you know, high winds and earthquakes, nobody goes outside. We stay inside until it's over, but other than that, they're all pretty similar. And I'll take a look, if I can have a copy of this, that would help.
You can take mine, it's in my
Okay, I'm
office.
gonna make a stab at trying to fill some of this stuff into this template as we go and get that to you guys, but if you have any thoughts, I'll send you the Noxon one too, so we can look at it, but I'll make a stab at trying to start one that we can use as a draft, because I think that's a little easier to just review a document, and I'll use this, and, you know, our thoughts today.
For subs, ours is easier than what I'm looking at here. Because they can quickly scan the tabs and see where they are and what needs to happen at that moment.
Right, that's kind of like in the moment kind of stuff.
Yeah.
This other plan is more
Yeah.
like, more thoroughly
Yeah.
outlined so that we can, you know, understand
Yeah.
how many drills we have to have a year
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. So let's move on to environmental hazards.
Train derailment.
What?
Train derailment.
That's.
Oh,
When I was
yeah.
younger, Alberton had to
Yeah.
evacuate their school because
Right.
of chlorine gas.
That's what I had the chemical spill
Yep.
from the railroad.
Yep.
Let's start with fire, just because I have that.
Facility fire.
A facility fire, our prevention activities are basically, a robust maintenance and replacement,
response is drills then, right?
I think response is drilling, because that's, the fire's already happened, and
Yeah.
the drill is practicing for what has happened, especially about flying low.
And we have the, fire marshal come and inspect our school regularly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about how often, but it's,
She comes once a year, and then the system gets inspected once a year.
yeah.
That's when
The
it's-
fire marshal, where is the fire marshal?
She's out of Helena. I think she's out of Kalispell.
And she comes how often?
Once a year.
Annually? Do we have any local fire help?
Fire department.
Well,
Actually, the fire department did a tour of the facilities last Thursday to look at, higher risk areas and exits and water access for them for when fire comes, but they didn't really look at hazards in every classroom or anything like that.
okay, so
But that
that's
is
the
what
fire marshal.
That is what the fire marshal
Okay.
does.
So response, we have drilling, alarms. How
The
often,
E3,
how often do we drill?
so we have a drill once a month on different types of hazards. So this month, we're scheduled to do a lockdown. Last month, we had a fire drill, and then we had an
Two fire
accidental,
drills.
we had an
Yeah.
accidental
Yeah, that
fire
was fun.
drill right at the
Yeah,
same
so
time.
there's gonna be $10,000 worth of new smoke alarms coming in, 'cause they trip a lot. And the good thing about the new smoke alarms that we're gonna get is they're gonna be addressable, the old ones are not. So when you go to the fire panel after there's something that's tripped it, we just get a region, we're told that's where it tripped. Now it's gonna be individual smoke alarms, so we'll be able to tell.
Where exactly it is? Okay.
Yeah, so the state requires 8 fire drills,
8 emergency
8
drills.
emergency drills. And certain number of fire drills and then all the other drills too, so Kevin and I went and looked at our calendar in June, and we planned one for each month, different times of the day, different types of drills, so.
Okay.
So about everything was addressed.
So all of the different kinds of emergencies are included in this once a month drill. 1 month you'll do fire, 1 month you'll do earthquake, you'll do that.
Lockdown,
Earthquake's my favorite.
earthquake.
So the alarms, who inspects those?
The company themselves, Johnson.
How often do they do that?
It's just been once a year since I've been here.
So they annually come and inspect all the
Yeah.
alarms?
And the sprinkler systems as well. Which, we don't have sprinklers in all of the facilities here.
We don't?
No, there's been weird workarounds, funny enough, some of the oldest building has sprinklers everywhere.
But the new one doesn't?
No, it depends on the size of it, and then K2, they put the fire door in, and that was the argument for not having sprinklers over there.
We have our new gym,
Trying to sort of,
they've been
But
working on
that-
that, to be calling, just so you know.
The fire alarm?
Yeah, the new gym, at the beginning of the year, it wasn't working right.
Yeah.
so-
Different kinds of
Wasn't sounding off in
when they built it, they used a completely separate company, so our monitoring was separate, and there was no connection.
There was no
between the
connection
lines.
between
They
the
don't
two.
communicate.
Yeah, so the alarm would go off in the
Everywhere
building
but
here, but
but
they
not
wouldn't know
there.
it's going off.
But now Johnson has put their own equipment in, but there's still some hiccups going on between the 2 fire panels. But regardless, the fire marshal and 3 guys from Johnson came and looked at the gym in August or September. Regardless of whether or not those are communicating, if there's a fire in the building, the alarm's gonna go off. It's just, they might be in another building and they might not hear it until they're walking over there.
Well, that thing that happened with the fire alarms, you know, is why we're doing this, cause that is kind of what brought to our attention that we don't have an emergency operation plan for the school, and it's a legal requirement, and it's the responsibility of the board to do that. And we haven't had one for, ever, but, so now we're going to,
Yeah.
because we should have one, and and, it's a requirement. Okay, let's do chemical spill from the railroad. There's not really much we can do to prevent that or even know it's coming until it happens. But the response,
Prepare by having safety stuff here.
And we've evacuated the school before to the Forest Service as a practice with kids,
so it would be evacuation or shelter in place kind of.
depending upon what the
Depending on
situation is.
And we practice, like buses coming through over there to pick them up and take them other places farther away from the
Farther
road.
away,
So, yeah.
How about medical supplies? How much of that do we have here?
We have, our nurse's office is full of some supplies, but
Not enough to cover, like if a bunch of people started getting,
yeah,
we'd have to like
yeah, we wouldn't
haul
have
over to
any.
the hospital or.
But see, they're closer to the railroad.
Only
so
if
it
the
depends on-
hospital was a safe place to
Yeah,
go.
so
yeah,
it
yeah, it depends.
And isn't firehouse our first evacuation, hospital is second, depending on the
Depends
situation?
on the
I think so.
situation.
I think that's the way it was
Yeah,
set
if
up.
it's not safe to go to the Forest Service, we go to the hospital.
Okay.
But if it's at the, if the spill is over there, we're
It's
not
over
going to
there,
the
we're not going to the
hospital.
hospital,
You're
yeah.
going up P Hill.
Yeah, get above the pressure,
Mm-hmm.
To the mountains.
yeah.
Okay.
Boulder, really cold.
That's right. Everybody going for a hike today.
So if we had some massive thing like this, and that would be bad.
Yeah,
That
Well,
would be
there's, I don't think there's any way you could be prepared for a massive one.
No.
that would be like an
There's
American
not
Red
enough
Cross.
money to prepare for that.
And you couldn't, you couldn't prepare enough and you couldn't have enough supplies because they're gonna go bad before you need it.
Yeah, we couldn't have enough
We couldn't
supplies.
have
The
enough.
hospital is either gonna be able to be a place where we could
Go
show
or not.
people
Or not.
or not. And
Yeah,
if not, we're all in big trouble.
yeah, I mean, that's just how it is,
Yeah.
it's life.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything else we could do in response to that?
Close the windows and stay inside if it's mild or longer.
Been warm.
So we can.
Yeah, it
How
depends
about,
on
like-
what spill is.
Yeah.
Do we
if
still
it's-
have a like
Still-
supply of masks from COVID?
Yeah, and that's
Do
the
we-
other thing
I
you
don't
can
know,
do is have
maybe.
a mask
We could-
for respiratory, in a way of, if somebody was exposed, you'd have to shower.
Yeah,
And that's the only thing I know of you could do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
masks.
well, we have showers in the K2 building,
There's one over there.
yep, and there's one in the new gym, there's some over here. There are
Be a cold
showers. so we
shower,
could
but it
go.
might-
It might be a cold
So
shower,
this
but
is an area where we're gonna go back to that incident command structure, and we're gonna need somebody who's in charge of medical responses.
probably whoever's standing.
Yeah, it's gonna. How about a chemical spill on site? Do we have any chemicals do we have a supply large enough of chemicals that could spill here
About
that would
science room
cause
in high school.
something?
That's the only thing I can think of,
That's
is stuff in
chemistry
the.
The chem lab,
I was
and I
saying
don't think
the
it's
chem
big
lab-
enough to.
No, and they've got
And
the
they-
eyewash stations on the pull down.
Cleaning
shower
chemicals, but those are usually
Now they're pretty,
pretty good.
yeah,
So prevention is basically just,
Don't take anything in that's gonna be that dangerous.
yeah.
the only place that we'd have this is cleaning supplies.
In the chemistry lab,
I
the
think
science
we-
lab.
The science lab.
We choose cleaning supplies and science supplies that aren't hazardous.
That aren't hazardous.
Yeah,
So
there's
then,
enough options nowadays that it's not like it used to be where you.
Well, and you might know, choose your
so basically that's our prevention, is we are choosing
non-hazardous.
Yeah.
non-hazardous
Materials.
Yeah.
materials. And if something were to happen, it would
We
be,
follow the protocol on whatever chemical it is.
Yeah.
Cause they all
Yeah.
have, it's swallowed.
Everyone's
or-
different, yeah.
Yeah.
And the hospital's right there.
Yeah.
I mean, we can literally throw somebody in a car and drive them to the hospital
actually
faster than an
just
ambulance
got-
can get here.
Yeah.
We got safety data booklets from our cleaning supplier, that we're gonna have in each building. I can show you those if you want to.
yeah.
And those are
And we
required.
called poison control once this year and they were on it like that.
We did.
fluid incident,
Oh, yeah,
poison control.
yeah,
That's one thing that probably we ought to talk about, including in a drill, is some kind of chemical issue that then we have, like, where's the information about how to deal with all the chemicals that we have on site and make sure somebody knows where they are. Have somebody in our little incident command structure who's responsible for knowing that. Might wanna have one at next year, a drill about that.
well, we could have staff training on where it is, because there's not always that person available. If they're gone somewhere,
Yeah, that's true.
everybody needs to be aware of where things are and what's available, because we might be the first person there.
That's true, first responder.
Yeah, we basically are, depending upon where you are, it might be,
Mhm.
if they're sick that day or whatever, everybody needs to be aware of where things are.
Well, that's why I think it's a good idea to have a drill, because then
Mhm.
everybody's involved in it,
Yeah.
and we say, this is what we're doing, and this is where it is, and.
I'd say, if you're in the chemistry class, I mean, I'm sure he instructs to that.
He does their
Right.
safety.
So, that he does the safety there, and I know like in shop class, he does the safety there, but, when you're talking the cleaning chemicals and stuff, that to me isn't something that necessarily has to be student instructed, which you don't necessarily wanna tell them where they are. But
No.
that might be something that we do on our back to
Staff,
school day,
yeah.
do a staff training on that or something.
Right.
A walkthrough,
Yeah,
Just a quick, it wouldn't,
Yeah.
yeah,
wouldn't
Okay.
take that long.
it wouldn't take that long.
And I guess,
Only a few closets.
Yeah,
and I guess for chemicals, the only other thing is, and it follows the next one, human threats, is if there is a biological attack or whatever, that could be a possibility, especially nowadays.
yeah, that's actually not something that I had thought of, but you're right, biological attack.
well, and some kid could do that,
Or some
or a
community
person,
member, you know, it could be, that
Yeah.
actually probably
There-
goes under human threat.
That's what
yeah,
he was
that would be
saying,
a human threat.
It was right under,
It was right, close together.
human
so-
threat was right under where you were rating.
I'm gonna say,
Cause I think I saw something about some labs that were being found in like Las Vegas or something.
Like
Yeah,
biohazard labs, bioattack labs,
in,
Yeah.
in downtown,
Vegas,
it's basically like a bomb.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
it-
somebody
it's-
using biologicals to harm,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
so it's very similar, but the response is different, so it's good. So external shooter, our prevention is our
Lockdown.
lockdown,
yeah.
Shelter in place, pull the curtains,
our
everything,
lockdown
Yeah,
procedures.
it's awesome there.
it's in there.
Yeah.
Run lock fight.
Hmm?
Run lock fight.
Run lock fight.
Lockdown procedures, and the response, that's basically the prevention, is that we try and keep the potential
The
for
drills.
people. The drills would be the response,
It could
because,
also kind of, those human threats could also be, the prevention could be our behavior threat assessment too. Cause we talk about that.
that's a
We
good point.
investigate, talk about it.
What would happen if somebody, yeah. So our response is drill and liaise with
There's gotta be communication
enforcement.
there in response.
law enforcement, communication.
And that's kind of where the E3 system that we use comes in too, because you can say your room is clear or your room isn't clear. And so they can pinpoint where the areas of trouble are.
where the
You can
threat
see
is.
where the call was initiated too.
Yeah.
so.
You can see what, yeah,
Where the call is initiated and which rooms are safe or not safe.
yeah,
And this is a firearm-free zone here, right?
yes.
Firearms.
Doesn't matter if you're concealed carry or not, only law
Firearms
enforcement,
are not allowed.
only law enforcement brings firearms on campus.
So that's part of our prevention, is we don't allow that potential. Is there anything else?
The door, the
The door.
entrance,
Yeah,
We've been locking the doors.
and then you have that secondary entrance corridor.
So
Locking
we have
gates.
taken some actions already that reduce the potential for
Mhm.
external
Mhm.
threats to come in here with a gun and shoot up.
Oh, we had a kid with a machete that was an external threat several years ago.
Yeah, that's, yeah, I
Wasn't
should,
he in a tree? I heard he was in a
He
tree.
was right
like
outside,
that.
off the school grounds.
yeah, I should say external, weapon,
Yeah.
not necessarily a gun. So, and we don't, how about knives and weapons of that nature, is
They're
there?
not allowed at all. No weapons.
No,
We don't even let them bring Halloween pretend guns.
okay,
We've confiscated those. Some of them are hard to always, squirt gun.
You won't let this little pretend gun in there, but you got this gross looking thing and a mask.
Grim Reaper's
Yeah.
dagger.
Yeah.
No.
so how about internal weapons? How
I
do
would
we?
say it's pretty much the same as external.
Well,
Yeah.
they're already in here,
We
and
have
they
a-
already got in.
Well,
and
we locked
didn't-
down, we
But
had
if you lock
E3,
down, then it limits where they can go.
yeah,
So you're keeping
Yeah.
safe as much as you possibly can. And with the E3 system, then you can pinpoint the areas that
safer.
are not safe. Because if everybody else has marked it and you haven't marked it, then you know that's probably where the problem is, because they just can't get to where they can identify it.
But to prevent them coming in here with a weapon, there isn't much we can do that, because we don't have we're not screening them through.
No, yeah, there's no
little thing.
firearms.
There's no search,
no,
there's no
no.
screening, so they could bring a gun or a knife in.
So there could
and
be a weapon in here.
There isn't, is there anything that we can do to prevent that, other than education, more advertising that it's not allowed, communicating, I mean, the only thing you can do is,
On the door, doesn't it say, we are a
It does say
firearms
that.
free?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But signs don't keep you.
I know,
from doing
well,
it.
we had a guy bring a gun to a board meeting a few years ago, so,
communication and advertising.
we did?
Is basically all we can do.
The only other actual conventions that would be metal detectors.
Right, we don't
have
have-
that ready to go.
We don't
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
that.
The only thing really would be just making sure the kids know to say so.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
Well,
and
that's
I
a
think
good
our students overall would say something, hey,
Yeah.
Yeah.
this person's
They're gonna know
got
before we
something,
do.
maybe you wanna go check it out.
Training the students
Communication
to alert,
under response,
um,
yeah.
to
Yeah,
alert.
the threat assessment team, when we had a report of a weapon, we investigate right away.
Right,
I can't believe that first grade teacher was shot, it just blows my
Oh, I
mind.
know. Probably a first grader.
Yeah, first grader shot the teacher.
that one in Virginia, is that what you're talking about? My daughter worked in the school next door.
Wow.
So, the response to having an internal shooter is
So there's a response, in another school I was at, if you have an internal shooter and you know that they are in the 5-6 building, then as a preventative measure, you leave, you exit, you go as far away from the school as you can. And I don't know if that's
That's
something
part of
that we-
running.
That's the run part, yeah.
Mhm.
That way.
But you have to know where the shooter is first.
You have to know where the threat
And-
is.
And the problem with that, and I agree to leave the area, but you don't know in certain situations, is there somebody on the outside?
Waiting for people to leave.
Yeah, and that
Exactly.
has happened.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Identify
Organized
them.
ambushes.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like
And here it
deer
is.
hunting, flock, go and
Mhm.
scare them out of the area.
Yeah.
So, yeah, identify the location of danger and then decide.
Then you have to decide.
Are you gonna book it, or
Course
are you
of
gonna
action.
try
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
hide
and then you just have
underneath
to
the
live with the
table?
consequences. So,
So, evacuate or hide,
Yep.
yeah, or fight.
or,
There's some good training out there for teachers. And, a lot of times, there's law enforcement that go around and will train teachers for run, walk, fight. And I don't know if the school's ever done it, but it is
I
hard,
remember.
but great. Especially when they come into the building and set off pretend guns. You learn what it sounds like in that
oh,
building. They did it small school,
Mhm.
and you could be in the gym and not hear the other one.
Yeah, so that's the problem too. There's a lot of train noise, outside noise, it'd be hard to know.
So we have somebody will alert law enforcement right away.
The police department is connected to our E3, right?
Mhm. That's what
Yeah,
Kevin
and the
said.
hospital wants to be as well, we just haven't put it all together, cause we were having some kinks in it. So, it's a work in progress still.
Yeah.
So this
So
should,
there's
Would
connection
want-
with the hospital.
Mhm.
not yet, but
Not yet.
Yeah, but
But
they're,
we're working on it, right?
yeah.
We're in hospital soon. Is there anybody else that we need to?
Fire, did you say the, Forest Service? Cause
They're our first
possible
For
evacuation
evacuation.
place to evacuate is the Forest Service.
Mm-hmm. So if
It'd be
we
kinda
are
good if they
thinking
know
about,
what's gonna happen.
yeah,
If we're
Yeah.
thinking about evacuating, we would either go to there or to the hospital, so we
Mhm.
need to talk to them both about this.
Yeah,
Depends on where the
we've gone to
threat
the
is.
Forest Service
Yeah.
before, we've trained over there.
Okay, and if somebody does get shot, we need to, or stabbed, we need to deal with the medical issues.
Mhm.
and I would probably guess that 3/4 of our staff have been through first aid training multiple times. So we can at least attempt to start
Right.
helping until people that are more qualified. come
Yeah,
here.
triage first, yeah.
Mhm. But most of the staff goes through the training every other year, like, for part of our clock hours.
Mhm. PIR.
So I would guess that at least 3/4 of their staff is trained.
Although there is a special training for bleeding.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Do we
not
have
really
those,
good, that
do
one.
we have those, bandages that's coagulate blood
Compression.
available? There's some.
Like Israel bandages.
Yeah, there's some kind that I just took first aid training, you can get that, like, you put it on and it helps
They,
stop.
they have a clot one.
Stop.
Stop.
Yeah, stop bleeding.
Quick
Do
clot.
we have any of those?
It's called quick clot.
I don't think we do on, as
And
a,
there
or as
is
part of our
some debate
supplies.
on whether you wanna do that or not.
Mhm.
But I know like the Israel bandages, are really good for bleeding. They're easy to put on.
Is first aid training pretty customary for all of the
it's not required,
teachers?
but most of them take.
Is it offered periodically?
Every other
It
year,
is.
Of the year.
Okay,
cause it lasts 2 years. Your certification lasts 2 years.
so it's offered to the teachers?
First aid and CPR actually, plus AED.
Yeah, we did
'Cause
it
we had it
last
last year,
year, Pumps and Falls Payment did it
yeah,
for us.
they do a good job.
Okay. Is there anything else you can think of for the internal shooter or stabber?
walk through with where all the medical supplies are would probably be good. I mean, everybody's gonna think nurse's office right away, but we probably.
But the
need
gym
s-
has some.
The
I
gym
know.
has some, the coach's room always has like
Mhm.
4.
There should be some in the K2 building.
Well, even just knowing where your AEDs
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
all that
which
stuff is too, cause I know you just added another one.
Yeah, there's one by the cafeteria now.
So do you guys do shooter drills?
We have.
Have you had those? Do you include what you just said about where the location of all the medical supplies in that?
Nope.
I don't think
No.
we have,
No, it's just a walk
Okay,
down.
we should probably.
Lockdowns, we talked
I'll add that.
to the kids about that, what's expected, no cell phones. Don't call your parents if there's an active shooter, we don't want your parents coming in and getting shot and
Right,
being, and interfering with emergency response personnel.
communication is gonna be another, when do we
Mhm.
communicate?
Well, and kids
Now.
don't communicate, that's the thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
They
you
shouldn't.
from
Hey, they'll
Yeah.
call and say, come get me.
Exactly, and that's what I've told them when I start the school year, that's what I tell the kids is, do you wanna call your parents and have them get shot when they shouldn't be at the school?
First, it's gonna be pretty hard to stop.
But don't call your parents, and
Yeah.
then you don't do that, because
Right.
it'll get out
Training
fast enough,
about, training them
Yes.
to,
And every time we've done a drill, I talk to the kids about that in
About
my
that.
classroom is, you don't call
Don't
your
do that,
parents, you
yeah.
don't text your parents. There will be time when things are calmed down,
Mhm.
but this is not the time to do it.
Right, you're just gonna get them.
Yeah,
get them in
you're
danger
gonna confuse
potential.
everyone.
Yeah,
You might get them shot by law enforcement, you don't know.
right.
And kids aren't the most reliable for telling the correct information.
No,
No.
especially under stress.
No, they wanna tell the most exciting version of the story.
They'll start in the middle, then go to the end, and then the beginning, and then,
Yeah,
What they think will happen.
yeah,
yeah,
what they
What
thought
might
might have
happen.
happened.
Yeah.
yeah.
and then
Can you think
pretty
of
soon-
anything else for an
Well-
internal?
I would say, it's been probably 10 years, I had a student who had a weapon at school, and when it was found in his backpack, we isolated him from the other kids, and then he handed it over, it was not an issue. But it could have been an issue,
Right.
and then we went from there, dealing with the situation and got him out of the way, and it wasn't a problem, but you have to just kind of, it's case by case.
Mhm.
Yeah, all of these things are gonna be case by
Mhm.
case.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had a kid with pepper spray, but it was just because she walked home at night in the dark. And I allowed her to keep it because she walked home alone in the dark.
Yeah.
But if it was a different kid, I'd say absolutely not, you cannot have that pepper spray because you would use it in a bad way. So you kinda have to.
You go into the bathroom
Kinda
and spray it, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
That could be a weapon, that could be an
and,
agenda.
and absolutely could be a weapon, that's pretty nasty stuff.
And if she's
She's
walking
in her
around in the dark,
eyeballs.
it's not like she can leave the office until she goes home, because then it's done,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, there's
You
always
have to
judgment
adapt
call.
to what,
Yeah,
Yeah.
always
needs to
have
happen.
to use your best judgment.
Yeah.
You'll get sued no matter what.
Yeah,
I know.
that's true.
Oh, it's
do
a
what you
pepper
can
spray, why
do,
couldn't
and
I?
then you
Yeah.
can't do anything
Yeah.
else.
You
Yeah.
did your best, that's all you can do is your best.
Yep.
Well, let's try kidnapping.
Well, we installed the fences to help prevent that.
Yeah,
Yep, we have fencing.
we don't walk from the
We
castle.
have
locked doors.
locked
We have locked doors for the most part.
Cameras.
Cameras.
There's always somebody monitoring buses coming in and out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time I monitor coming in and Kevin monitors going out, so we try to tag team that.
Supervision,
And supervision, you're not allowed to just wander through the school, you have
We
Yeah.
lock that front door and.
Yeah.
supervised visits,
Yep,
visitation by community
Except it
members.
looked fair, threw us off today.
Well, they had you ahead of time.
I know.
And if somebody does grab a kid,
we tackle them.
with all force.
we pull out our concealed weapon.
The nice thing about a bunch of these is now sometimes we do have an officer on site.
Yeah,
That's true.
That's about a third of the time or a
Yeah.
quarter of the time, unfortunately.
So
And
we
even if
would
it's
obviously
full-time,
alert law
If
enforcement.
Yeah.
he's there, and
No.
he's down there, then
But like if we were talking if somebody had a weapon, we approach them with an officer, not just.
So do the cameras record?
Yep.
And how long do we leave,
I
how
don't know.
often do we check that? It's like, CCTV, do we record over the top of it at some period or?
what's the?
I've only
length
gone
that
back
keeps it?
like a couple weeks, cause
I-
I was
I
looking for
think it
fish.
does at least a month, yeah.
Okay.
That's the situation.
Alright.
Case of the missing fish.
But Catherine always has the
Same,
cameras
also
on one of her
fish baskets.
screens. up
Okay.
front.
They just
So she's
disappeared.
looking at it.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So we're gonna also have to have somebody who decides how do we communicate the situation to it's usually a non-custodial parent that comes in and kidnaps a
Mhm.
kid, and the
Yeah.
custodial parent needs to be told,
yep.
and we need to decide how to do that. Is there anything else that you can think of that we could do if a kidnapping has happened, other than call the
Call law
police and
enforcement and call the
parents?
parent. I don't know what else you do. Besides
I
tackle
don't
them.
know either.
Unless you can block them from getting out of the building in some way.
Yeah,
I guess you could interview, teachers and students who might have seen it.
and it's
even
do an
that, you have
assessment
to-
on how it happened.
Yeah, I guess there's situations, sometimes we're
Yeah.
gonna know immediately who did it, and others. There's actual investigation.
And then sometimes it's not a kidnapping, sometimes it's a kid that's walked away,
Mm-hmm.
Right, runaway.
run away, or even special needs kids
Oh,
won't leave
right.
the building without you knowing.
Wandering off.
Yeah.
They'll took the fence. We had a
Oh, yeah,
jumper.
I know know that, at one school, one of the kids, he just walked home because he was done, and it was miles
Fourth
away.
period every day?
It happens.
There's a lot of runners, especially in elementary school.
Four shifts today.
Okay, domestic violence, the prevention would be basically the same
Same as,
as above.
yep,
And the response is
Call law
basically gonna be the same too.
law enforcement.
And this is usually like a angry spouse of somebody who works here who would come in.
Or another angry spouse that's coming in to a spouse that's already here to address something.
Right.
Or at a
Oh,
concert,
it could be
or at a
a family.
basketball game, or
Right.
something like that.
Well, and you also have to think that sometimes kids will come here and be victims of it. And so
Right.
what do we do there?
Right.
We have to call, because we're mandatory reporters.
Or if you have a parent that comes in and starts wailing on their kid in front of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we call the police, it's
Yeah.
happened.
So a bomb threat, how do we prevent a bomb threat?
I don't think you can prevent it
I don't think
unless
there's any
you
way to prevent
teach
that.
and you say, if you are caught making a bomb threat, you will be, these are the consequences, cause
Prevention
parents
would be
very
education,
Advertise
educating.
and educate
because sometimes
For consequences.
on,
other students who are, especially teenagers, not thinking straight, and, oh, this would be funny, and
Yeah, and it's not.
and so there, is this something that would stand up the threat assessment team, a bomb threat?
If
Well,
you,
you'd have to call law enforcement.
yeah, we do the
You
threat
would.
assessments on known individuals,
Okay,
so a random bomb threat, we wouldn't necessarily know.
you would
who-
turn that over to law enforcement.
Yeah, but if we did know the kid, then we would definitely run it through our assessment team.
So if it was a known student,
Yes,
this would stand up
we would do a
the
full threat
threat
assessment.
assessment.
But if it's just a random phone call, 'cause I remember that's how it was when I was a kid, somebody
Yeah.
just randomly called and we had to.
Yeah.
Leave
Well,
school.
and there was, Whitefish, no, Whitefish or Columbia Falls a few years ago, they had a foreign country call.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And said, they tapped into their camera system and, they called in a bomb threat, they shut down all the schools in Flathead Valley for a while.
Wow.
Did we get a warning about that? That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of
We
where
got
it
it,
went.
there was more than one school, it was, even Butte schools got
Yeah, I
something like
remember
that
that.
too.
Yeah,
It was,
I can remember, they kind of warned us that there was stuff
It
going
was-
on around us, but nothing here,
We
but
didn't,
be aware.
Right.
but other
Actually, we
schools
got
did.
the same warning last year for kidnapping too.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody got picked up in Folsom.
Let us know.
yeah.
So
We had-
biological attack, there isn't anything we can do to prevent that really, but the response would be, again, law enforcement, medical,
Yeah, medical,
hospital.
E3,
Yeah. Noted on the
because then you don't have kids, if you had something in this building, you wouldn't be walking the littles over to Jim
No.
through the building if we had something, you'd have to communicate to everyone. That
Right.
this building is off limits, or the new gym is off limits, or K2 is off limits,
Well, and if
whatever it
there's
is,
a cloud in the sky that's coming your way,
yeah,
shut all the windows,
yeah.
shut the AC units off. Do what you can to keep
Yeah,
air from coming in.
yeah,
If it's outside.
yeah, if it's,
Shut
yeah.
windows and turn off AC to avoid.
Call your local prepper and ask for masks.
Yeah.
We need 200 masks,
That's right. Oh, we got that.
400
Let me
masks.
go down to my basement.
Even that, drop bucket she gave me at that class we took, I think there's like 20 in there, so I have that in my room, plus the 5 I made that are in the drawer.
I I put mine in the safe, so that, yeah.
I just left, they're all in the bucket sealed.
We went to this training in the fall, and they gave us a 5-gallon bucket, and in the bucket were a bunch of material, just things for.
There's
if
masks,
there's
there's
emergencies.
like
Yeah,
suckers to keep them quiet, there's, a thing, so you can use the
Band-Aids.
basket, or the bucket as a toilet if you needed it, I mean,
Uh-huh.
they had a piece of floaty, a noodle,
to put
to
around
put
the
around
toilet.
the toilet, use it as a
See,
seat cushion,
Okay.
that's so quick, they just had all kinds of really neat stuff, but I think it would be nice to have a bunch of those in a place just in case, but,
It's just in the corner of it.
yeah. I just gave mine to Catherine, and put it in the safe.
So did we miss any kinds of hazards or incidents? Like, we've covered all of the ones that these people had in their report.
Oh,
I was thinking animal too,
But the
Yeah.
fence helps with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oil price.
Haven't had a bear come through for a while,
No,
or a lion.
but there's
but
also
we have had those
rattlesnakes.
before, but that was before the.
Yeah.
Or snakes, yeah.
Livestock, some kind of.
Animal threats,
Yeah.
Mostly
Wild
wildlife, but
dogs,
Yeah.
anything.
So
dogs
you
and
could
cats
have
Dogs
sometimes.
and cats.
Yeah.
I'd be
Cats.
worried about a dog
Dogs,
getting over the
snakes,
fence more than anything else.
bears, lions.
Deer.
How about insects and like some sort of
Black
anaphylactic
widows.
shot? You know,
We
like
have-
somebody got stung by,
We have those, we have the,
you have the insect ones in
No,
there?
not
no, but
there,
we have training on use of
EpiPens,
EpiPens,
and we have them stashed in different
And
places
you
around
have
the
them all
building.
Yep.
over?
Yep.
Okay.
as well as, I don't know, what's it called? If you have an accidental drug overdose.
Oh,
the
Narcan.
Narcan.
Yeah, we've had
And then
Narcan training.
There used, I don't know if there still is, but in the nurse's office, if the kid is prescribed an EpiPen, it's noted in there that they have one specific to them.
for them.
Yeah.
But then we have others that are just random if you need it. Because like if you never been stung by a bee and all of a sudden you get stung and you're allergic, you
Right,
don't know.
You don't
Yeah.
know, but probably identification of any kids with allergies is part of it.
So
Yeah,
each
we
teacher
have
knows
that.
which kids they have that have allergies and what those
All the
allergies
ones
are.
that are known allergies, you guys have a list of all of that. Is that kept in the nurse's office? or-
It is, it's on Infinite Campus, and Mary Jo has it in the cafeteria.
Yeah, cause you can click on a student and you will see whether or not they have,
What allergy they
what
have.
allergy they have
Or
and
what
what the
medical-
treatment is, if they have an EpiPen or whatever.
What about food? Issues with food?
That's
Allergies.
the,
Food allergies, it's on
Well,
there.
no, like contaminated food.
Oh,
like poisons, other kind of poisons.
Well, poisons or even
Oh, if somebody
somebody
contaminated
brought
something, they
in
brought it in.
some lettuce that had been found out that it was bad or something.
contaminated.
Contaminated
break up or
E. coli
something.
or something.
Yeah,
Who would you call in the case of a contaminated?
I've called the health department.
Health department.
you'd have to send a notice out to all the parents on Infinite
Who
Campus
is
or
the health
somehow.
department?
It's in Thompson.
The
I would call
Sanders
it, I
County,
would call it
Yeah.
county office, yeah.
County Health? Communication?
And it depends on how severe they're reacting, whether they just need to go home or whether they need to go to the hospital if they got bad enough.
Yeah.
Right.
So contact with
Triage
the hospital or triage if we need,
Yeah.
yeah.
with hospital.
For sure. Bring the ambulance.
I thought of something that escaped me.
Back to the bomb threat, is it, y'all evacuate to an area for a bomb threat?
No.
Okay, good, I don't, it always bothers me when they do that, cause if it's from a student and they know where all the students are gonna be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a
And
good way to
that's-
congregate them.
yeah,
but
generally it's a shelter in place until you determine
Okay.
whether or not it's valid or
We
not.
had one at the college and they put all of us in the high school gym after that.
Yeah,
It's like,
Oh, central.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
And that's another thing with our bug out set areas, depends on what kind of threat, because if the perpetrator knows that the school's gonna go to the Forest Service, then they're gonna be at the Forest Service.
Right.
So
Or
there
on the
are
way,
certain
yeah.
kind of threats that we need to have a place that, you know, we're gonna go to a certain church somewhere, but, you know, just because of that, like you were saying, you know, sabotage us, ambush
Well,
us
and
on our way.
if you know who the guilty party is, that plays a big factor in what you choose to do.
Exactly.
And if you don't know who the guilty party is that's causing the situation, then,
Right.
you know, you just have to go with the best option that you could think of at the time and
Unfortunately,
adjust as needed.
unfortunately, a lot of the shooters end up being very familiar with the area because they went to school there or,
Mhm.
you know, or they're still going to school there.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's far more danger from within than there is from without.
There has been cases where, like, there was one in Texas where the guy was evading cops, I think, and then he got out of the car and went into school because the teacher had propped open the door,
Mm-hmm.
and so went in and started shooting him there.
Well, do you guys think of anything else? I will type this up nicer, because there's spelling errors in here, and send it back to you that has all of our thoughts that we captured. This is another thing that we're gonna make copies of, that just kind of talks about the kinds of things that should be in such a plan. You can read through, and I'm gonna send you the Noxon one. I'll send you the Noxon one, I'll send you the notes.
Knoxville's probably gotta have some extra things in place.
They're right below the dam.
Well,
Yeah, they
And
definitely
the-
have a dam
Yeah.
failure
Yeah.
incident in
Yeah,
there.
and then one lane bridge is the only way to get out fast.
Yeah, there's, yeah,
And it's not.
and it's right in front of the dam,
Yeah, exactly, so.
Better
yeah,
get out before the dam's gone.
yeah.
And I'm gonna like start trying to populate
Okay.
this thing kind of fine tuned. I'll look at the Noxon one and see if there's anything in addition. And, you know, start populating a plan that we can look at as a draft. But as you guys look at this one and you look at the Noxon one and you read through our thoughts and, just give, you know, I'll start trying to put together a draft for us to look at. But if you have any thoughts about something we might have missed, I thought of something.
I have something.
Okay, what is it?
We need to have a clear plan of communication when there is a threat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, several years ago, a parent falsely accused a student on social media of threatening the school. So the school, no one came to school right away. The staff came to school. We had a whole staff meeting, and it had been determined that this was a false accusation. But we had a meeting first because everyone's freaked out. Parents are freaking out because this is on social media and everyone's talking about it. The poor kid involved was crushed, and it wasn't that kid's fault.
Right,
It was a false accusation.
right.
But we didn't have people come to school right away. We had a staff meeting first. We discussed our plan, how to quell the chatter, because everyone knows there's always that chatter no matter what, and how we would deal with it. We've had deaths in our staff where we did that. We had the buses run an hour late where we came to school. We dealt as a staff first with what we needed to do, and then the buses and the kids started to arrive. We had an assembly, and we had things, there are things that aren't on there, but things that should be considered as part of that, because having a death of a staff member is an emergency. Because
Or
it,
another student.
or
Death,
another student,
yeah,
we had
I
a,
think
we
that's a
lost a
good
grade
about
school
that.
student 2 years ago.
Death of student or staff
Yeah.
member.
And we had
Something
to,
that
we had to pause things so people could collect themselves.
When that has happened, the community pastors have been very good about stepping up and coming in and helping.
And having a
talk to
place where
people,
kids could go talk,
and talk.
yes. Yep,
Yeah,
And
that's,
sometimes counselors
that's
from
a
other
good one.
schools band together.
Yeah.
And provide extra
And
support.
that does bring up another threat is social media threats.
Yeah, social media threats, are they valid, are they not? But you have to treat them like they are until you prove they're not, which is why we didn't come to school that morning. Well, the staff did, and law enforcement was around, but the kids didn't come for like an hour and a half.
Right.
So that everything could be assessed prior to that to make sure it truly was a false accusation. But, I mean, the staff came first, we had our meeting as a whole staff on how we would approach that and how we would deal with it.
Yeah.
Because you can't have a threat, whether it's false or not, floating around and people wondering, is this real, is it not, with
Right.
no communication.
That was one of the recommendations to be incorporated into this plan, was like a clear outline of how threats are managed and then communicate that. There's some misunderstanding amongst the community about how that's handled and about how the privacy of students is handled in this situation, and that we need to have a section in here that clearly articulates how the threat assessment team operates and how, who gets to know and who doesn't get to know, and why those decisions are made and how that works.
And that's where the chain of command is nice too,
Right.
because the person that's in charge of communication can be the one that's, we've thought about it, and they've put together some package of what we're gonna say or what
Yes.
should be said, and they communicate.
That's why having a
Yeah.
public information officer assigned that responsibility is really important in pretty much everything. Somebody who's like really familiar with deciding what should be communicated, when it should be communicated, and how.
Yeah,
In charge of PR and laws.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think,
A lot of that is decisions we can
We
make
are so
ourselves, it's, we have to,
tied in so many different ways, so
yeah. we
whoever
gotta
that
be-
person is,
They have to be up on the laws.
well versed.
And
yes,
well
yeah,
spoken.
that's why it's
Yeah.
important to kind of give some of these things assigned to people, and they can have some specific training about what their sideboards are and what they can and cannot do. But there was a suggestion made that we, once we figure out, this threat assessment process, that it be advertised, maybe put in the student handbook, so all the parents know that what they are not allowed, and why, if they don't receive the information they think they should have in a timely fashion, there's reasons for that, and it's about protecting privacy rights of children.
So, as,
Yeah, I
one
have
of-
like the privacy, a packet that you can get for privacy.
I think so.
Well, there's federal FERPA training you can do for that too. It clearly delineates what can be said and what can't be said, and what is supposed to be said.
Right.
But like the training that Laura and I went to, it's recommended that you don't put in your school plans in specifics, because you don't want it public knowledge in case somebody on the outside wants to come in and do harm. And they're gonna have your blueprints and everything. So you gotta be careful with how you share your information.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna wanna put everything that we decide, or whatever you make up as this packet for this team, in that handbook. You might put a summarized version, but
Yeah.
not, no maps,
Yes,
no.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the security
Mhm.
issues, you don't wanna
So,
inform anybody,
Say this
When
is
this
the
happens, this
communication
is the-
person, point of
Yeah.
contact, this is your alternate point of contact.
Yeah, our kids have already been communicated in Butte. There was a little boy with a pocket knife in our granddaughter's elementary school. Before the kids were even released, every parent received an email notice saying, just so you know, we had an incident with a pocket knife, it has been resolved in the 3rd grade, and everything's been taken care of. So when your child comes home and says, somebody had a pocket knife, we are on it. We have dealt with it, and parents have been called or whatever. They didn't name anybody, but they put it out there. They had someone call in and say there was a shooting threat. Butte schools sent a deal out saying, we've had a shooting threat, it's been investigated, this is what we know, and it's been resolved. But it was like that, so then people were not freaking out. But they've had 3 this year. And immediately that day, every Butte parent that was either at that elementary school or schools in general had that communication, so that they knew. They felt like they were being kept in the loop. They didn't get names, but they were being informed, so they could make a decision on what they were gonna do with their kid or whatever. So,
That's good. Can you think of anything
It just
Ponder
occurred
it.
to me that
I
the
appreciate you coming
communication,
and helping us with this, 'cause
communication
more
is
brains
key.
we
Yeah.
have, the better.
Yeah.
This is just a brainstorming
Yeah,
exercise,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's good, I'm glad to see it come, helps.
I've been in a few schools where they locked down, and one that was locked down because there was a casino robbed,
mm-hmm,
one where they were looking for a fugitive, and had a helicopter flying over, and, you know, and then
That guy that was over at the gas station a couple years ago,
Yeah.
was a
Yeah.
fugitive, you
That
know,
was
that,
summer, wasn't it?
that's
It was not a school day.
yeah.
We had,
escaped
But
prisoners.
Heidi, you guys had the lockdown
Kid.
next to Maelstrom, right?
yeah, Malmstrom was scary, cause
When
it
they had the
was full
shooting?
of military
Yeah.
personnel running full gear and their ARs and running through the hallways. It was scary for the kids. The kids were all, terrified. And it lasted several hours. But we did have an incident about stalker. You
Oh,
wanna add
that's a
that?
good one,
Oh, okay.
we don't have that.
Person of interest. Yeah.
So you can't prevent that, but what,
Well, the safety
Think it'd be
procedures you
about
put
this.
in place will definitely
oh yeah, the
assist to keep
prevention,
them out.
that, you're right, that's right, we do have some prevention.
I think it'd be a lot like kidnapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the same procedures.
Yeah.
I mean, the threat with that is that they might be stalking and they're off grounds, and they might be waiting for somebody to come their way.
And if
And
there's
if
a
it's
specific
after
person they're
school.
stalking,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you may find them a different route home or escort them some other way or to get them away from that
Escort,
person.
target,
Mm-hmm.
law enforcement.
Law enforcement,
Definitely,
because we are not law enforcement.
no.
We had enough jobs without being law enforcement.
If we have somebody who's coming frequently, you can like put their picture up and tell the people who are at the front desk to watch them.
Yeah, Rob was gonna give me a picture. He hasn't yet. But the public road is right there, so,
Yeah,
it's so close to the school. If you had somebody driving by, you'd have to have law enforcement be the ones to say you can't drive there, cause I can tell kids they can't park in the parking lot, but I can't control that
Yeah.
road.
no,
You could have a restraining order for so many feet though. I've seen that happen at schools where there have been restraining orders against parents that couldn't be within 1,000 feet of the school
Yeah.
or something like that.
yeah.
If it gets to that point, there are ways to deal
That's a
with
good
them,
one.
but it's a legal system way, it's not, we
Right.
can't
Cases
do
that we
it,
can't
Yeah.
do it, it's gotta go through the
Yeah.
court.
Right.
it's got to go through the court,
Make a call.
yeah.
How about,
Have them in another direction.
how about inebriated or drug addict folk?
Yeah.
That's
We've had
something-
a naked one run through before.
Oh, that's
We had
nice.
to reroute our parade.
Yeah.
There was
I
a-
didn't think that was coming.
Yeah.
Breaker.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're like, oh, hey, we're going this way today, and all those kids walking.
When was that?
It was
this
Oh,
year's
parade.
homecoming parade, we had to reroute and come back this way when the naked crazy lady
Well,
was
you
there.
know,
I didn't
Missoula's
even
not
hear
that
that.
far away.
Yeah.
Well, she started off screaming the F word, so I called
Oh,
Rob and
okay.
he drove down there and he says,
I-
oh, wait, she's naked, so.
I- I know exactly.
So drugs and alcohol are just probably,
Just law enforcement.
yeah, especially,
That's all you can do.
parents get belligerent, we
Or
won't let them
escort
in
them
the
off
school.
the premises.
Our fences have worked well for that, because we locked down before in the school when there was a person that was, on the playground that wasn't safe. They were clearly drugged up on something. Turned out to be one of our former students, but.
Well, and if I remember right, it wasn't very long ago, maybe last year or the year before, there was, after school, a parent came to pick up a kid, and it wasn't safe to send the kid home with them.
Yeah,
So
because they were drunk.
Because they were drunk and
Yes.
it's
So
safe to drive.
they kept the kids inside, so they didn't see the
That's a good idea.
situation,
Yep,
and, had law enforcement come deal with the situation, and then whatever needed from there, I don't know if
Okay,
social
that's
work
good.
was involved or
That's a
not,
good
but,
Maybe call CPS. We're mandatory in.
Yeah, we're
reporters
mandatory
here,
reporters.
aren't we? So,
All teachers are.
Not that it does any good, I've called at least a half a dozen times in my career,
Yeah, but it builds a case.
but you do,
So the more calls that
you have to
come
do
in,
your
it
job,
builds.
do your due
Yeah.
diligence.
yeah, I know, I'm a CASA advocate, so I deal with some deals.
You
with
know.
that.
There's not enough.
The
people
bar
that
for-
see the reports.
Parental rights is here and safety of the child is way down.
Yeah,
So the
exactly.
bar for what they can take a kid away is, you know, you have
Yeah.
to,
Changed so much
you have
over
to
the
be
years.
really, really bad.
Yeah.
They used to be,
Yeah.
they'd take them away for just a rumor. Now
Now
they
it's-
take them away when there's drugs in the house.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they pop for meth and they say, oh, where are you catching it?
yeah. But we still report, because that's what you do.
Yeah. Is that something that we should include here, sexual or, abuse, is that part of it?
No, cause we're
so.
mandatory reporters, but maybe all new teachers should be reminded that you are mandatory reporters. If a kid reports something to you, it's your job. Even if it's an unsafe situation, it's your job to call and say, hey,
I have a concern.
I have a
Yeah.
concern, I have a student that told me that a parent is potentially suicidal, not at school, but the student is at school and they're worried, and I'm just gonna let you know that this is what,
Yeah, what's going on?
yeah.
Can you guys think of anything else? I really appreciate your help, this is,
Thanks.
really, couldn't do it, cause I
Yeah.
don't know enough.
Yeah.
I can plug stuff into a template, but you guys are the ones
Yeah.
that know how this all works, so
We're
I,
living it.
and I was really surprised to learn that this is the board's responsibility. Because I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do that exactly, but I appreciate.
Well,
you
our
guys.
handbook is pretty well, it's set up for most emergencies. It doesn't clearly delineate every single thing, but, I mean, you look through that, you know what you have a pretty good idea of what you're supposed to do and when you're supposed to do it. Our orange one,
Yeah, and then we added extra charges this year too. so.
yeah.
Can I have an extra, one of
She
those?
said she could. Yeah, I'll give you the one out of my office.
That